Hey everybody, Phil here. And today we are going to continue our discussion on SEO. So we've already just covered the theoretical side of stuff. And then yesterday we covered the more practical side of actually implementing all of this on your website. So today I actually want to get into slightly more advanced stuff that you can do on your website and off to kind of help increase your journey to better and better SEO. So kind of be prepared. Today's going to be an information-dense video. So get your notepads out and get ready to learn. So we're going to start with images. You know, images are an often overlooked part of sites. There's quite a bit that you can actually do with your images, though. So let's go ahead. You can log into your site and go to your media and your library. And just when you're in here, be aware that there is both a grid view and a list view. And for those of you with IO built websites who have been built recently, you do have short pixel compression built in. So be aware that the only way you can access that particular built-in stuff is here in the list view. But we're not actually focused on that right now. What we do want to look at is when we go and click into a particular image, we want to be aware of, first, the title, the alternative text, and the caption. The first thing I want to point out, and this is actually probably a bad example of one, but when you're uploading images to your site, be extremely aware of the names. Many times when I'm working with IO clients, I see people who have images that are just, like say you have a product image that you've uploaded to InflatableOffice software. A lot of times it just has a random name. And I myself have been guilty of that in the past. But what you really want to make sure you do is actually give them descriptive names. You want the name of the product or the name of the item that the picture is of in the actual item name. Make sure that in the item name that you are using hyphens and you're not running words together. You know, and why you don't want to go crazy long with your titles, but you can also use a few words to be descriptive, because that's going to make sure that when Google is crawling your website, that it's going to pick up that information and know how to rank it better. Also very important is following that same strategy with your alt text. It's very important to have this for all of the images on your site for the most part. And something to be aware of is that if you are using the same image in multiple places in the site, there's a balance between, how do I put it? Sometimes you might actually want to think about having multiple images of the same thing that are all going to those different places, so that way you can have different alt text. But that has to be balanced against speed considerations on your site as well. But again, as like most things, it's common sense and a judgment call. But again, just make sure that you are definitely using descriptive alt text in everything. So moving on from there, so this video doesn't go on crazy long. Let's talk about links. Now, links in your website are extremely important for SEO purposes. You want lots and lots of links. And it's important to differentiate between internal and external links, and also do follow and no follow links. But let's talk about those for a second. So external links are simply sites or links that are going off your site. Internal are ones that are going within your site. You want to make sure that nearly all pages on your site that you're building out content on have anywhere from 3 to 5 internal links on them. That way, when Google or other search engines are crawling your site, it has lots of different ways to move around and navigate your site, and also understand the relationships between the various objects and pages on your site. Now from there, let's talk about do follow and no follow. Now when you are in a page, let's go ahead and look at a page in Elementor. Something that's an important thing to understand about every link on your site is that it has an attribute that tells the search engines whether to follow that link or not. And all links by default are going to be do follow, meaning that the search engine will find them, and then it will follow them. So anytime you have something that is maybe low value or something that you don't want the search engines to follow, be aware of the add no follow attribute. For the most part, you're going to be working in Elementor, so this is where you'd always find it, just by simply clicking into link options anytime you're dealing with the link, and definitely be aware that's there. Now, moving on, because we were talking about internal and external links. Now, with external links, which of course are ones that are pointed outside, you really want to generally try to have as many of those on your site as possible. And you want to make sure that they're pointing to what's known as high authority content, meaning that they are pointing to other pages that rank very, very well for their respective businesses or whatever it is that they look to rank for. There's quite a few ways that you can research that. That was kind of outside of the scope of this video right now. But something that you can research, and just that's something that you're going to want to try to build as many as you can. And you generally, if you have a page where you're building out a lot of content, you might want to look to maybe do 1 or 2 of those. Okay, so moving on, and in the same vein, we come to backlinks. Now, backlinks are this huge and kind of controversial subject, but at their very essence, they're simply any link out there in the world on the internet that links into your site. And generally, you're looking to build as many of those as you can get, especially from, once again, from high authority pages. And this actually branches into something that's called off-site SEO, which is everything that you do outside of your website to increase your SEO and your rankings. And that in itself is a huge subject. But just be aware of the concept of backlinks, and just know that, again, that's something that has a lot of value and something that you can research on your own time. Just type in like backlink SEO strategy into Google, and you'll find a lot of great content about how to build those with other businesses, and they can be really, really great. But on the flip side of that, to be aware of, and I'm sure that many of you have heard this term tossed around on the various groups, bounce house groups and Facebook, is negative SEO. And many of you are probably wondering what that even is. And essentially, like, it has many aspects, but the most common way is through negative backlinking. And that's where someone simply attacks another business through trying to link to their site illegitimately through many would say low authority or outright illegal or otherwise badly ranking or low ranking content. And this is why not only is it important for you to have a strong backlink strategy for your business, but you also, something that you have to add, unfortunately, to your your list of many things you have to do as a business owner, or at least have someone else do for you, is regularly monitor your backlinks to make sure that, whether by chance or by purpose, that you don't have negative backlinks building up against your site. If you do ever find them, there is Google and a few other engines do have disavow tools that you can look into. So again, just be aware of those. That in turn branches into another branch of SEO known as local SEO. Local SEO, kind of like offsite SEO, is SEO that is done with a particular focus. And in this case, that focus is for your local community. And this is going to be really, really important for most of your businesses, since many of you are very, very, very local community focused and based in terms of who you're trying to serve. And again, this is a subject that is huge. You could probably make many, many videos on it. But the biggest thing that you need to focus on first is making sure that you have claimed your Google My Business and the other My Business type accounts on all of the map services out there. And that's a huge step that you need to take. So make sure that you have all of those set up. Other strategies that you can take with this is simply reaching out to your local newspapers, getting yourself involved with local events. And again, if you're paying attention, you'll notice that this will link into your backlink strategy. If you have local newspapers linking to your business because they're writing articles about events that you appear, This is all stuff that you can be doing that's going to kind of fill up the local SEO and that offsite SEO categories and your backlinks. So, this is all stuff that as you learn more and more about SEO and you get creative, that you can really do to skyrocket your rankings. Now, in that vein as well, talking about places like Google My Business, it's also extremely important that you make sure that you have all of your social media accounts claimed. And this, again, is something that nearly, I would say 90% of the clients I deal with are guilty of, is that you don't have but a fraction of the important social media networks out there claimed. This is important from a branding aspect of making sure that your business is in as many eyes as possible, but it's also important from a negative protection aspect, making sure that your competitors cannot take that name or your branding away from you on these important social media networks. Again, I know it adds to everyone's workload at a time when most of us don't have more time to give, but I definitely reassure you it's extremely important to the long-term SEO strategy of any successful business. Okay, so a few more things. And actually, I'm sorry, I do want to back up, and I do want to show you one thing. Backlinks. And in terms of backlink monitoring and research, just want to show you real quick a free tool, neilpatel.com/backlinks. And this is just simply a tool that you can type in any domain and you can actually get a sense of everything I was talking about there, all the domains referring into it, all of the backlinks coming into this domain, and most importantly, kind of a quantified score of the authority of this domain, which in this case, I'm showing you InflatableOffice. So just very, very important to something that there's many, many other tools out there, some of them paid, some of them free, but just this gives you an idea of what kind of tools are out there. Now, I know this video is getting long, so I just have a few more things to cover for you guys real quick. Let's talk about Google Search Console. And this, in turn, links into the importance of monitoring for broken links on your website. And this is, again, why it's so important that you are on tools like Google Search Console with your business. It has a tool called the coverage tool. And what this is going to do is this is going to tell you if it's finding lots of broken links or missing pages on your website. These are all things that hurt your SEO, hurt your search rankings. It's important to monitor this, and if you come across errors, that they get fixed as quickly as possible. And this in turn is where you would use things like redirect tools in WordPress. If you run across issues with this, as always, reach out to us. We are offering more and more services all the time at InflatableOffice to help with things like this, especially in the realm of SEO, and we are happy to help. There's just one last thing, and this is just kind of a more general thing, is once you kind of put all of this into play, make sure you don't get complacent. Make sure that you are conducting regular audits of both your site health and your SEO of the site itself and individual pages. And finally, and most importantly, is never quit building on that website. Again, I know, that this is, again, more and more and more work, but I can't stress enough how much this will pay off. Too many of you don't think of your website as just a thing when, for many of you, this is your storefront. This is the first thing that your customer sees and thinks of you. And not only do you need to be making the best impression possible, but you have so many opportunities with your website to really make the sale before you ever have to talk to someone. There's so much you could be doing by building out high authority content, and not just in terms of getting better and better search rankings, but making sure that your conversion rates, once people are on your website, are extremely high. So again, I'm sorry for all of the dense data today, but I really hope that this helps at least a few of you. From here on out, if you guys have any requests at all, especially in terms of WordPress stuff, SEO stuff, site stuff, please let me know, and I'm happy to make videos on that. Otherwise, I will see you guys more next week with some WordPress tips and tricks. Everybody have a great day, and thanks for your time.